I am 3+Kei. I'm your favorite social worker. I'm here to encourage you to pursue the smile by prioritizing the Lord, your physical health, and persistent education. And I'm out here at Blue Mountain yet again. Blue Mountain Trailhead or Trail. So just giving a little hike. Hello.
Hello.
And yeah, I'm just gonna do a little walk and talk today. So the question of the day. Well, first let's do a little.
No, leave it.
See that?
Girl.
So beautiful, right? Look at that. So the question that I would like to pose is, who has influenced you the most and how? So usually when I ask these questions, I pose them to my friends. I wait for somebody to ask me the question back before I think about it, because otherwise I already have my own answer. And it's just something I repeat again and again and again. And I asked you a question already having a partial answer. So I have a half of an answer. The first obvious person that has influenced me is Christ, because he really, like, as a social worker, I say Jesus was the ultimate social worker. All he did, his mission was to point people to the Lord and to serve those around him. So he was washing the feet of the lepers, and he was healing people, he was feeding people, he was praying for people. So he was the ultimate social worker. And I, as your favorite social worker, of course, really can glean inspiration and motivation from Jesus. So if you're just tuning in, the question is, who has influenced you the most and how? So definitely Christ. If I'm choosing someone that is in front of me, like in human form, in present day, someone that's influenced me, I don't know if it's the most, but Oprah's story, before she was Oprah, she was in a journalism class, and this was before cell phones, of course. And she, I love Jesus. Great, Sarah. And Life on Earth with Eric. Hello. Oprah was in her journalism class in college, and there's a knock on the door, and it's somebody telling her to go to the office because she has a phone number or a phone call. And so she goes and takes the call, and it's a news station saying they would like to hire her as a news anchor. And she says, well, I'm in college, I need to finish my studies. Hangs up the phone, goes back to the classroom. The professor asks her, what was the phone call? And Oprah says, it was a news station, and they wanted me to be an anchor, but I said that I have to finish my studies in college. And the professor told Oprah, "Fool, that's why you're in school, is so that you can get the job. So if the job was offered to you, then leave school and go do that," is what the professor told Oprah. And as you know, the rest is history. So in the way of how that influenced me, it's that there's more than one way to skin a cat, as the saying goes. If you have a goal or a dream, don't limit yourself because you want it to look a certain way, and don't allow other people to dictate how you live your life. If Oprah had gone back into that classroom and the professor said, "Yes, good job. You did not take that job because you need to finish your studies," maybe we wouldn't have an Oprah as we do now, right? But she went on along her way. I think it was Cincinnati or something, and became Oprah as we know her now. So the question is, who has influenced you the most, and how has that been? So I cited Jesus. I cited Oprah. One thing I like is to read about our parenting styles, people who are successful, how their parents engaged with them, right? Because successful people didn't get that way on their own. And I don't mean monetary. I don't mean celebrity. I mean just successful in whatever it is that they're doing. I'm out here with the rocks. I'll show you. You got the rocks. Maybe there's some rock collector that's well adept at collecting the very best rocks ever, right? So they're successful in that. But how did they come to have that mentality? And so, well, I do like Justin Bieber's music, but his mom, they were living in Section 8 housing, the equivalent of that in Canada. And his mom was working whatever job she was working that had them in that predicament. And I know it's kind of controversial now, maybe. I mean, nothing's really come out of it. But, the abuse and whatnot that Justin Bieber endured. But at any rate, just to get him to the next level, she quit her job and took a leap of faith on behalf of her child. And I think about that in relation to my own kids. My oldest is very, very beautiful. And when she was a teenager, somebody came along and wanted her to model. And I said absolutely not, because she's not going to go off by herself. I'm not going to leave her in somebody else's care. And I would have to quit my job, and so on and so forth. So I really appreciate that about, Justin Bieber's mom, that she kind of took a leap of faith, took a chance on her kid's talent, and arguably it worked out, right? And so another person is Michelle Obama's parents. She tells this story of she was 5 years old or whatever and was getting bullied. And her parents asked her, "Do you want us to talk to the school?" Hello. "Do you want us to talk to the school or talk to the girl's parents? Or We can tell you how to handle it, and you go handle the situation yourself. So a 5-year-old Michelle Obama goes to school, handles the situation herself, and is no longer bullied, right? But it took her parents to be supportive of her, and like hear her out and her concerns, but also to provide the information and the knowledge and the confidence for her to stand up for herself, which is a lifelong lesson. So I think that's an interesting thing about the parental role in a person's success. So again, the question is, who has influenced you the most, and how was that? Look at these puppers. There's one. Oh, got that one. All right. Let's do a quick spin around. Very beautiful. Very peaceful. Very demure. There we go. Is that? Yeah, some of the mountains have snow on them already. I don't know if it translates on the phone. We're headed, I'll show the other way. We're headed into this thick forest is where we're going. There we go. And so I guess a good question might be, how I came into social work, because that in and of itself is an influence, right? Multiple people influenced me to become a social worker, and one person specifically encouraged me to be a Christian social worker. So in the way of the question being who I've most been influenced by to become a social worker, my mom, when I was very, very young, started me volunteering. The first volunteering that I can remember was stuffing envelopes on Mayor Morton's campaign in Evanston, Illinois. And we would ride the train for 2 hours to get there. I would stuff envelopes. I don't know what my mom was doing for the campaign. But, yeah, so that was my first taste of like selflessness, you know. And then when I was in high school, I was a peer mediator. I volunteer club. And so I'm not quite sure what the influence was in middle school that created in me, a teenage me, heart for service. But I would say my mom has been influential in me becoming a social worker, both through her introducing me to volunteering and, you know, just in the way of parenting, I suppose. That could have gone better. But it gave me a soft heart and sensitivity to others. So yeah, question is, who has influenced you the most, and how did that come about? So I cited Christ, of course, my mom, Oprah, Justin Bieber and Michelle Obama's parents, not them specifically. There's been a lot of, I would say, a lot of influential people in my life to get me to where I'm going now. And another question might be, who is currently influencing me outside of Christ? And I think, I have a few friends that are entrepreneurs and their moms on top of it. And so what's interesting to me is that they're able to balance it all. And maybe I should ask them, because I witness how they're balancing having a whole family and creating financial independence for themselves. And they work very hard. My one friend has a hair salon and nail shop. And her daughter just kind of comes with her. So I think about that with my own kids. I want to incorporate them into what I'm doing. And hopefully, when it's all said and done, pass whatever I created onto them. That would be my hope. I also would want them to become foster parents as well, which, obviously I don't have any control over, but I would love that for them. Let's do a quick turnaround. We made it. We're kind of in the woods now. It's quiet. There we go. It's a little warmer than it seems. I think it's about 40 degrees. I wonder when the bears go to sleep. Does anybody know the answer to that? Like, is it a specific month or a specific temperature? I'm always concerned about that. Although the area that I'm at, so bears like to hide in like a thick brush. And if you're loud, they don't want to be bothered with you. So this area is really not dense enough for them to want to be bothered with a loud lady in a blue coat. You know what I mean? So anyway, the question is, who has influenced you the most and why? Oh, I would say my kids have influenced me. I was and still am a fairly selfish person. I like what I like and I want it that way. But when you have kids, they, no matter what the age is, both of my kids came to me when they were teenagers. There's still compromising to be had. And so one thing, I hate for the drawers in the kitchen to be open, to be ajar, or the cabinet doors. Oh my gosh, I don't like it at all. And so I put a high importance on that, but they didn't. And so there's a period of adjustment that I had to learn. And I really would, look at this fluffer. Hi. Oh, that's a cute one. Coming up on another one. High energy. But anyway, I had to learn how to compromise for probably the first time in my adult life. And I'm grateful for that because I'm a better person because of it. Hey, baby. Ooh. Oh, all right.
Sorry.
All right. The dog went and got a log right in front of me. I wonder if there are other experiences like that in life. Maybe marriage? Could it be marriage where you need to compromise so significantly with somebody else in a way that you might not mind necessarily? You know what I mean? That sounds terrible to me. I don't know. I was just reading First Corinthians. Hi. Hey. I was reading First Corinthians somewhere between 1 and 9, and Paul is saying it's better for you to be single so that you can focus on the kingdom than it is to get married. And the reason why you would get married is if you have these like burning desires, you know what I'm saying? Wink, wink. These burning desires that you can't quite, take captive. And so if that's the case with your partner, then you should get married. But outside of that, the preference, according to Paul, would be that you remain single. Hi. Oh my gosh, so many dogs.
So many dogs.
Okay. We are doing all the things. It's not that I used to have a dog. I used to have 2 dogs. But I just don't really trust them. They're wild. They're wild animals. And they listen to the one person, but yeah, just not a fan. Not a fan. And so back there were 5 dogs. I was like, let me get out of the way. But yeah, so Paul had an interesting take on marriage. And then Jesus really, one man, one woman, and kind of that was basically it, there was the woman at the well, and she wasn't married. She had 4 or 5 men before the one that she had then when she met Christ. And, Jesus made a little comment about that. I know that man ain't your husband. What does this say here? Let's take a peek. Cutting unit boundary. Do not cut behind the sign. Oh, because there's a lot more land kind of going up here. But we're going to go this way. Maybe just take a quick little look around here. We want to make sure we're staying ahead of the people with all of the dogs, because ain't nobody trying to do all that. Yeah, be in the midst of the shenanigans and malarkey that dogs bring. But yeah, I've been skeptical. I've been skeptical of Paul ever since I started reading the Word. And it's complicated because, The Bible is what it is. It's the Lord's word, written by the hand of man, right? Physically written by the hand of man. And so Paul's in there a lot. He wrote many, many epistles, which were the letters to various regions, the Galatians, the Corinthians, the Philippians, you know what I mean? Like, he wrote all those letters, but he wasn't one of the original disciples. He wasn't one of the 12 or one of the 11 as they went forth. And so I really wrestled with that, but didn't quite have the time to explore it. Similar to women preaching, I haven't landed on what I truly believe is the Lord's intention toward women preaching. I know some denominations say no, and other denominations say yes. But at any rate, it's not something I've yet taken the time to explore. And so similar to that was Paul's true authority in writing these epistles, on behalf of Christ. And so anyway, I think it's, 2 Corinthians 10 through 13, which I had never read, obviously. So there's 4 chapters from Paul explaining why he has authority. And, I'm on chapter 13 now, but 2 things. He was in communion with Christ when Christ was alive, and another is that his life, though he's not sinless, he wasn't sinless, but his life reflected a righteous nature. And then on top of that, in him spreading the gospel, he had been stoned and whipped multiple times, jailed multiple times, shipwrecked multiple times, all for the purpose of spreading the gospel. And so if we say to ourselves, would I continue on? Would I do that? Have I been living in this manner? Well, no. So we don't have authority. And then we pass that judgment on to Paul, because I don't behave in this manner. Certainly, there couldn't have been somebody else who did, especially in the age of like social media, where we see people of the cloth falling hard, disgracefully, lacking morals and couth and what have you, And so it only highlights, like, can anybody live in a righteous manner? And just because somebody proclaims the word of the Lord, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're in agreement with it behaviorally. Hello.
How's it going?
Good. Look at this guy. It's like a little chubby, hairy chihuahua. So cute. So maybe that's why it's hard for people to, agree with Paul, or that, the disciples were handpicked, right? Like fresh off the boat or whatever, while they were fishing. and I'll have to. It's Paul in 2 Corinthians, between 10 and 13, says that Christ dictated that he is an apostle. I think that's something that I'll need to read into for myself, you know. And that's another thing about your faith walk, friends, is don't be lazy with it, right? Like, it's easy to go to church and let the pastor tell you what the word says. Like, that's, oh my gosh, look at this view. Hold on. Oh, this is great. This is what I came here for. All right. See right here. Oh, can you see? And back here, and these mountains. Let me see right here. There you go. Get the full range. These mountains are actually closer than they appear. See right here. It's so beautiful. Sometimes people ask me, why do you live in Montana? Because it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous here. Why would you want to live? Every time I go to a big city, Atlanta, Tampa, Chicago, LA, Sacramento, right? Every time I go to a big city, I'm like stressed. You know, like somebody, I'm not really worried about being robbed necessarily, but like people coming up to me emboldened to like ask. I remember that when I'm from Illinois, and whenever I went into Chicago, like people would like walk up to you asking for money. Here, people kind of just like wait by a store, or they'll be like on a corner or something like that with a sign. It's less aggressive. And then also the air is pretty clean here because large, the population hasn't caught up. Oh, here we go. Here's another one. Look at that. So we'll start here with this range. There we go. See? And so Missoula, Montana is in the valley. So we're surrounded entirely by mountains, 360 degrees, which makes for very cold, windy winters. But it also makes it very picturesque to live here. So anyway, we have maybe just a few more minutes here. I just wanted to revisit the question, who has influenced you the most and how? And so I had said Christ, Oprah, parents of successful people. I think Peter serves as an encouragement. Peter does, because he was a wily one, right? Peter had a lot of energy. He had a mouth on him, slightly aggressive, that type of thing. Like the least likely to be tapped for a disciple. His name was Simeon. And Jesus called him Petra, which means rock, Peter, which means rock, because the church would be initiated by Peter. I forgot where he went. Was this in Acts? I don't know. But here's a fun fact too. It's Antioch was where the term Christians was first used, and it was I wonder how much longer after Christ's death, maybe somewhere between 10 and 30 years after he died, was the term Christians used, because before then people were Jews or Gentiles being not unbelievers. That's what we call it today, unbelievers. Maybe they believed in like a different god, like a sun god or a water god or whatever. Those were the Gentiles. And then there were the Jews. And then came Christ, spreading that good word. Wonder if nobody's around. Let's just do one final spin around. It's cold. It might be about 30, I think it's going to be like 38 degrees, but the sun is shining, so it doesn't feel too bad. And then this is my thin scarf, just to keep the neck warm, little hat, little early winter gear for a Montanan. Well, anyway, this was fun, guys. Like a mushroom. Get it? Fun, guys. Anyway. Thanks for tuning in here. The question today was, who has influenced you the most and how? And I will continue to ask the people in my life this question. Feel free to comment below who's been most influential in your life. And for that, listen, there's daily videos, 8 a.m., 11 a.m., 2 p.m., and 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for more content. Subscribe. You say that fast? Subscribe. It's hard to say 3 times fast. At any rate, I am 3+Kei. I'm your favorite social worker. I'm here to encourage you to pursue the smile by prioritizing the Lord, your physical health, and persistent education. And with that, I will talk to you later.